will. I certainly will. Good afternoon, everyone, and Happy New Year. This is January 18th, and if I haven't said it yet, I still don't see you yet, nor do you see me, but Happy New Year. And thank you for joining our first session this year in conjunction with purchasing. And I see the number of people that are on the call. I'm hoping each of you have had a chance to be a part of our first session, our second session, and this is the third part of a four-part series that we're sharing detailed information, devil in the detailed information about purchasing, about forms, about documents, about bidding, about the small business program, its ordinance, in relationship to procurement and the procurement code. And we'll eventually get to the point that we will walk you through what it really takes to submit a bid. But today, our purchasing partners, our colleagues are going to share with you information about documents and about forms and about understanding the procurement code and the ordinance and those things you need to know. So I'm sharing this. Why are we doing this? Because in partnership with purchasing, it's really about the program. That's the small business program. It's really about the process. Purchasing is aiding us and helping you understand the process of the procurement code and purchasing. And it's about the people. Purchasing, again, is here to make sure that you know the right people, how to reach out to the right people, when to reach out to the right people, when bidding, or looking to bid, or finding information out about bidding. So that's why we're doing this. And again, we want to start the new year off by making sure you thoroughly understand what's required, what's needed of you, what forms look like, what documents are required when you're considering the bid process. So on behalf of the Office of Economic and Small Business Development, in conjunction with the Purchasing Division, we're excited that you're joining us, and we hope this information is valuable. We hope at the end of this, you'll share your questions or your concerns. We hope at the end of the day, similar to what we always say, you stay engaged in the process. And we are in 2023 with purchasing as a team. We're looking more and we're looking forward to more exciting opportunities and exciting wins for small businesses through the process. So with that, I think, Pam, you can take it to whatever slide it needs to be on, and we'll move this right along. And I'll be here with you, but we're now going to turn this over to purchasing.
All right. At this point, I would like to introduce LaShawn Williams-Canty. She is a senior purchasing agent with our purchasing department. She'll be walking you through these forms today. On that, we just always want to remind people that with anything to do with procurement, if you'll note the disclaimer, the purpose of the training is to provide a general overview of the county's procurement process. Bidders, vendors, and subcontractors, however, must review each solicitation for specific requirements. And with that, LaShawn, I'm going to stop sharing and let you take it away, okay?
Thank you so much, Pam. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is LaShawn Williams-Canty. I'm a purchasing agent here at Broward County. So today we're going to discuss bid ordinances and forms. And basically, so you found a solicitation that you're interested in, and you notice several documents attached to the advertisement, but you don't really know what's required. And what does all that mean anyway? Well, allow me to explain. Up first, we have the Cone of Silence, section 1-266. It prohibits all communications, oral or written, relating to a competitive solicitation among vendors, vendors' representatives, county staff, and commissioner office while the cone is in effect. The Cone of Silence is effective upon the advertisement of an ITB, RFP, RFQ, or RLI, and it terminates when the solicitation is awarded, rejected, or the board takes action. So who can you talk to? You can talk to purchasing division employees, designated project managers, or your OESBD designated contact. Please do not call the director of OESBD. Remember, The county provides a specified time for vendors to ask questions and seek clarification regarding the requirements of all solicitations. And that's during the question and answers period, and you can submit those question and answers via Periscope. Communication is permitted at pre-bid conferences and negotiation meetings. Up next is the Living Wage Ordinance, Section 26-102. Broward County Service Contractors, employees, and subcontractors performing covered services pursuant to applicable county contracts must be paid at minimum the listed living wage hourly rates and health benefit amount. To affirm compliance, any vendor responding to a service covered under the ordinance must complete a living wage ordinance compliance affidavit form and include it with your submittal. Food preparation service, security services, janitorial, and landscaping are just a few of the covered services that qualify for living wage. Please be sure to include your firm's regular wages plus paid time off benefits in addition to potential future increases in bid pricing that are submitted. Our next ordinance is the Domestic Partnership Act, Section 16.5-157. If the contract value is over $100,000, the vendor must provide benefits to domestic partners of its employees on the same basis as it provides benefits to employee spouses, with certain exceptions as provided by the ordinance. When applicable, the Domestic Partnership Requirement Certification Form can be located in the document section of each solicitation. To complete the form, simply select the applicable option 1 through 4 and affirm by entering your name, title, and the date. Our last two ordinances are the Drug-Free Workplace and Construction Apprenticeship Programs. The Drug-Free Ordinance applies to all competitive solicitations over $100,000 that require board approval. The vendor shall certify that it has established a drug-free workplace program in accordance with Section 1-71. The Construction Apprenticeship Program, Section 26-8 through 26-11, applies to all fixed construction solicitations $5 million and over. As defined in Section 26-9 of the Broward County Code of Ordinance, a vendor is required to certify that it will comply for the term of the contract if awarded Section 26-8 through 26-11 of the Broward County Code of Ordinance. Let's take a look at the standard certifications and forms. When responding to RFPs, vendors are required to submit detailed information on their firm and certify the firm via the vendor questionnaire and standard certification form. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties here.
In the lower left hand, see the arrows? There you go. You got it.
No, it's actually, we're having technical difficulties. Okay, well, basically, when you're applying to RFPs and you're required to certify, each vendor must use the vendor questionnaire and standard certification form. And on that form, you will certify via the cone of silence requirement certification, the drug-free workplace certification, the non-collusion certification, public entities crime certification, scrutinized company list certification. And in addition, there are several other forms that you must be on the lookout for, such as the affiliated entities of the principal form, the agreement exception form, the lobbyist registration requirement certification form, litigation history, where you would disclose any type of litigation that your firm has had, subcontractors, subconsultant, supplier requirement, criminal history screening, volume of work, and if it's a federally funded contract, the vendor's opportunity list. Let's see if this video will play for us. Not sure why it's not playing. Well, when responding to requests for bids or ITBs, make sure you review the general conditions. The general conditions in a contract are your terms and they are binding. So that is your contract. The general conditions that are listed inside of the solicitation, those are your binding terms for your agreement. Using the same vendor questionnaire and standard certification form, make sure you list all the affiliated entities of the principal of the firm and certify the non-collusion requirement. There are also, as previously stated, additional forms located in the document section for
Pam, did we lose her?
Can you hear me?
We do now.
Okay, I don't know where, it seems like I got muted somehow. Not sure.
Just take us back about 45 seconds and you'll be fine, wherever you think you were.
Okay, not a problem. So in addition to when it comes to ITBs, you also, just like with RFPs, you also have additional forms such as the litigation history form, criminal history screening practice, the location certification form, and the scrutinized company list requirement certification, and the subcontractor subconsultant form. Okay. The location certification form. I want to point this form out because it's very important. Local Preference Ordinance Section 1-74 BC provides preference for locals and locally based firms to compete for county contracts. A local business is a firm whose principal place of business is within Broward County. A locally based business is a firm whose headquarters, where majority of the business operations and transactions are conducted, are located within Broward County. So what are some of the benefits, you say? Well, for bids, local preference may present an opportunity for a best and final offer to be requested. And for RFPs, the local preference adds additional points or preference in the ranking. Rather, if you're responding to an ITB, RFP, or a RFB, Broward County requires that you provide a minimum of 3 references of similar services of goods. So always keep in mind that for all Broward County solicitations, you will have to submit at least 3 references minimum for similar services as well as similar goods. An ownership disclosure form must be completed by the responding vendor as a matter of vendor responsibility using the designated link found in each solicitation document. Please note that the information submitted is not used in evaluating your response. However, answering and acknowledging the form is required. If not submitted at the time of the submittal, the vendor will be required to submit the form within 3 business days after the county has requested. Failure to submit your form via the link within this time frame may result in the vendor being deemed non-responsible. Once you have successfully submitted your form via the link, you will receive an email confirmation. So please check your spam. So what does all of this mean? Well, it all boils down to responsive and responsible. What you must submit versus what you qualify for. For bids, a contract shall be awarded by the county to the responsible vendor who has submitted the lowest responsive bid. And for RFPs, a responsive vendor is a vendor who submits a response to a solicitation that the Director of Purchasing determines meets all requirements of the solicitation. So, what are some of the musts, you ask? You need to be aware of the lobbyist registration, criminal history disclosure, and addenda when applicable. When required by the solicitation, additional responsiveness criteria will be detailed in the special instructions of the vendor's document. So make sure you read thoroughly through all of the documents before submitting your proposal or your bid. So how about the qualifications? Well, to name a few, that would be your references, licensing, and goal requirements. Suggestions to assist you in successfully submitting your responsive submittal would be sure to examine your contract documents and all addendas thoroughly. When reviewing your documents, notify the county immediately of all conflicts, errors, or discrepancies in the contract documents of which you know or feel are reasonably and should be included. Ensure that your submittal is entered into Periscope S2G by the date and time before the deadline. Do not wait until the deadline day to upload or complete your submission. You may not meet the deadline. Remember, it is the vendor's sole responsibility to read through the solicitation thoroughly and be familiar with the requirements and terms and conditions of each solicitation. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
And LaShawn, I just answered one through the question and answer session. But if you could go back to one of your slides that shows the different documents, I'll just talk through that.
Sure.
So the question was about, are the PDF forms fillable online or should they be completed and returned? I answered regarding a lot of the documents you went through, such as location certification form or location form. When you open them up, it will actually be a web form through Periscope. And so you can just select the option. We ask for your name and title at the end, and then you would actually be able to submit through Periscope without doing a separate upload. On the list she's showing here, and or in one of the other ones, generally on the forms, you don't have to scan and upload. Once in a while, though, you will see PDF forms. The PDF forms, it really depends on if we are asking for something back, but we do issue our specs in PDF form and our special instructions on those documents. So on this one, the fourth one is a PDF. You just have to view. We're not asking you to do a separate upload on. So each of the documents will either be instructions to tell you and or give you the option to submit it directly through Periscope. So you're not doing a separate upload.
Thank you, Connie. And I believe we'll be answering the other questions that are in the chat.
Yeah, let's go back to the chat here, and then we've got some in the Q&A.
Okay,
She answered Roger's question about the PDF. That's good. So this is a great Sandy question, if he is still on. We have great. We have a company in Miami-Dade, and their question is, we can or can't do business with Broward? And I think it's always good that we cover this.
Yes, so we're gonna answer it exactly as you asked it. You can certainly do business in Broward. Broward County Purchasing does business across the country, not just across the state. If you're interested as well as eligible to be a certified small business in our program, similarly, as you know, the Miami's program, on our website, broward.org/econdev, we have the instructions and the eligibility criteria if someone is a small business and they wanted to get certified in Broward. In short, a business needs to be in Broward at least 1 year. Personal net worth of the owner is 1.32 million or less, not counting his or her primary residence. The business has to have gross receipts in most industries averaging $5 million or less over 3 years, or if the business is in construction, can average $9 million or less over 3 years. Those are the primary criteria, and if you fit that, you can be a certified small business. But any business across the board, across the states, anyone can certainly bid and do business with Broward, but certainly the criteria to be a certified small business, check our website out, and if eligible, give us a shot.
All right. I just want to get back to sharing my screen real quick, and then we'll get back to the questions. Roger has a great question. How do we provide recommendations if we're a brand new business? And I'll throw that out to both of you.
Connie, you guys want to hit that from a procurement perspective?
Yep, and that's I say difficult because again, we're as part of the county's responsibility is if we're buying from a vendor, ensuring that we're going to receive either the goods or the services required, you're capable of providing it. We're not putting us at risk or you're at risk down the line. So I guess some of it also depends on commodity purchases. Sometimes if it's just a quick drop ship or if it's a smaller purchase, we might not go through full reference checks. But again, you need to make sure that if you're bidding on something, regardless of previous specific experience and that you can provide that.
Great.
And something also of, again, where you might not always be able to jump directly to us, but this is where you can look at being a sub and work through a prime. They could always be your reference as well, that you've been able to provide services. It doesn't, by the way, also references that can be with private companies as well. That does not have to be with another government entity unless there's something very specific about the service that we would be asking for that type of reference. So there's a few different options there. Again, we're not trying to put extra restrictions, but it's ensuring that the county is getting the goods on time and services it needs.
Thanks, Connie. The only thing I'll add to that is the fact that even as I indicated earlier, even our small business program requires a business to have demonstrated they've been in existence at least Broward for 1 year. That's another part of our certification. It's also another part of making sure we're at least taking businesses on that regarding their certification, they have some experience in doing exactly what they said. So what we tell my entrepreneurs when they go into our entrepreneurship program, you might successfully complete our entrepreneurship program, start a business, launch a business, get your LLC, get your EIN number, and you're ready to go. But you're not in position at that immediate time to go after government contracts if these are the conditions. So as Connie mentioned, we certainly encourage our small businesses understand our program, understand what it is to end up being a subcontractor. Certainly everyone in business is in business to make money. So sometimes your start prior to government might be private industry, might be other home-based activities based on your industry. So again, this is not the county trying to eliminate, but to County's point, we're gonna have to be responsible and assure that at least the folks going after the county's bids can demonstrate they've done something in that industry or that field of work. So it may not be as a short, quick answer for someone who just started a business last Thursday. Hey, I want to bid on a county contract tomorrow. It's really not for them. But there are other ways to engage yourself, to get started, and to begin to create some of those necessary references. Okay, Pam?
There is another question from Clifford, but it looks like Connie is answering, and it's regarding a list of prime contractors that are working or registered with Broward.
So I will still try to type it, but I will speak to it. So when
Thanks.
you are viewing a bid and bid sync, and there's 2 or 3 different ways. So again, back to the point, if you want to see who else is looking at a specific bid and try to outreach to prime contractors, on the details page at the very bottom, there is a link called Vendor Viewed Report. If you select that, you'll see the other vendors who have actually viewed the solicitation, and you can generally get a good idea of who you should be outreaching to from there. Also, if there's a pre-bid conference, besides attending that, if you by chance miss it, within a day or 2, the purchasing agent will upload the attendees for that solicitation, and name, contact information. So you can click on the pre-bid conference tab and then select, I believe it's under transcript, and you'll have the sign-in list from the pre-bid conference, whether it was online or site visit. And then third way, for existing open-end contracts on our external purchasing division website, broward.org/purchasing. At the very end, there's a list of open-end contracts, and we can give you a direct link to that. Whatever you do, don't click print once you open up the PDF, because it is a couple thousand pages, but you can always search for different commodities, and you'll see the contractor or contractors we have under contract for that current open-end contract.
So thanks for that, Connie. I'm going to add to your response, but from what we tell our small businesses when we're doing our Certified Now What workshop, this is where the small business now prepares themselves to do some homework. This is where small businesses begin to create their strategy and their business model about how to engage opportunities, especially when you're going to be looking to work with prime contractors. Unfortunately, as you just heard Connie allude to in terms of the open-end contract, she's serious when she said there's thousands of pages based on open-end contracts. And at the end of the day, don't print it because you'll be printing forever. But I know that might even be difficult for you trying to stream through it. But what we tell all of our small businesses, if you're beginning to do work with Broward County, those examples County just gave, along with our meet and greets, along with projects as proposed, you begin to collect the primes. And it will take time over time to start familiarizing yourself with these primes that you want to engage, that you want to meet, or that you want to send your capability statement to. Unfortunately, single sheet, there is no one single sheet, even in alphabetical order, that gives every single prime that has been on the county contract who's actually won one. But there's multiple ways as you target in on specific projects, as Connie just said, as you target in on past projects, and as you're looking at opportunities, as you gather information from our Wednesday night newsletter, as we're preparing to share on a future meet and greet, how to begin to identify primes. So the last thing is, it helps you because even though we got multiple primes, your starting focus should be in the industry upon which you're planning to do business. So at the end of the day, this is, as I started, one of the areas where our small businesses begin to do their homework, begin to set their strategy, and identify their business model on how they will engage opportunities and begin to learn and meet some of these prime contractors as they move forward in the process.
Thank you, Sandy. Moving on, we had a Somebody in the chat said, we don't seem to be getting viable RFP or requests for bids in the electrical engineering field. Can you assist us in getting on the correct distribution list? And this is coming from MI Engineering.
And I guess, yeah, quick answer to that of in Periscope to be selecting the electrical engineering section, but then you might also just select the general engineering, which I think is 91843. Because sometimes we don't always get to drill in, since that might be more specialty. You may have to be, looking at the high level scopes and then going from there of, hey, I see an opportunity. And back to Sandy's point of outreaching to the primes and, advising them of your services and where you can fit in on a specific project.
Yes, and from our end, that's when that Wednesday night newsletter from us becomes invaluable. Again, we don't list, we're not purchasing. And we also, as Pam said in the beginning, always give a disclaimer. The official information about purchasing and about bids is really within Periscope. But we share whatever we can, when we can, above board. And that's where you want to make sure, A, with your certification for us, or with us, if you're a certified small business, we have used all the necessary NAICS codes and familiar words to make sure that even when we're visiting a proposed project with a user agency, when we're preparing to go in to see if I have enough small businesses who can provide the good material service based on establishing a goal, we don't want to miss you. Because one of the things that we do for sheltered market opportunities, we're emailing you or calling to see if you're interested. But for CBE goals, we're also notifying you to see if we have enough interest so we can establish that goal. So a part of it does start, if you're a smart business with us, making sure we have all the codes that we need on your behalf for the work you're doing. And then to Connie's point, definitely making sure on the Periscope side that as you read my Wednesday night newsletter, as you check out the bid, you're really trying to go to the body. Some of it, electrical is a good example. Some of it is not specifically electrical activity. It's a part of the overall body of a major project. When we said, just as an example, the expansion of the convention center and the building of a brand new 800-room hotel at the convention center, well, electrical wasn't going to be something that was said specifically, but we all know that was going to be in the body of a bid based on the project. So we try to help our small businesses understand more about the body of an overall project. And to Connie's point, yes, that's where sometimes you want to drill down based on your industry and then try to do what we said earlier, begin to identify potential primes to let them know you provide a specific service.
Okay, I have a question from Sandra Barrios, which I was going to type the answer and hit live instead. So her question was, where do you need to go to get certified with Broward County? And I'm going to tell you and put it in the chat that it is broward.org/econ-dev and look at certification. And that's where you will find it. And Sandra, you also had your hand up. Did you have any other question? And I can allow you to speak. And just go ahead and unmute yourself. Sandra, did you have anything else you wanted to ask?
Nothing else. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Sean also had his hand raised. Sean, did we answer your question?
Yes.
Great.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
We're doing a good job then. Thank you, Sean. And Sandra, I am getting that information in there. I'm just going to take one more quick look here at the chat.
And is there any specific questions on the different ordinances or requirements that LaShawn pointed out today?
Could I ask you one question, please?
Yes.
I'm curious, is there a certified business assigned person to each firm, or organization that we can reach out to? Because I think we're apprehensive about the steps in Periscope and what have you. So I want to try and get over that hurdle with a couple of my people and what have you. Or is it? Sorry?
Okay, and I just wanted to clarify on the question. So you were worried about contacting OESBD, or you're worried about contacting the primes?
The primes, like, I guess the focus for us is, hey, we see these organizations, but we don't know if it's appropriate for us to be calling them and what have you. And then also making sure that we in touch with the certified small business provider to let them know that we fall under specific things for those larger projects that could not be specific to engineering. So when you talk about the buildings being designed, yes, we can do some of the electrical design. So we want to know how we do that properly, because we don't seem to be doing that very well.
Okay, I'll answer the first part and then I'll bounce it to OESBD for the second part.
Okay,
I'll say absolutely, it's appropriate for you to contact, the firms on there. As far as, and again, that's sometimes, I know in the virtual world, pre-bid conferences aren't as exciting as they used to be, but hey, you're making a phone call and they'll either tell you outright if they're pursuing, not pursuing, and or let them tell you about their process for onboarding a sub-consultant themselves, because obviously companies have different requirements and or it's a relationship that you're building. So it might not always be on the first call, but your third call, you're going to be getting into them. I'll turn over to Sandy and team for the next part about how OESBD can assist.
yeah. So one of the things that we do, and this is another one, so thanks for the question, that when we go through the certified now what? So I'm gonna first echo Connie. Yes, by all means, contact the primes. Because what we teach as a county, and primes are aware of this, it's written in the solicitation. We teach program process people. We need every small business to understand the program. So the Business Opportunity Act, which is on our website, you need to understand. When purchasing puts a solicitation out on behalf of a user agency who's looking to buy a good, material, or service, if there's a goal assigned, that's in the bid. So that means anyone responding to the bid know that they're going to need to work with small businesses. So that's the first notification for the small business. If it has a goal, yes, I need to find out what potential primes are interested. If it has a goal, yes, I need to make sure in a competitive market, I can show the differentiation or the uniqueness of me versus the other 8 engineers or the 8 electricals that's behind me who are also CBEs. If I'm following the newsletter, and this happens to be one of the projects that it speaks to the body of the opportunity and the goal, I want to reach out to the prime in advance, especially if there's a future meet and greet schedule, so that the prime simply knows, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I know about you, and I can provide this service. And oh yeah, by the way, I'm also certified. So in case we do have a meet and greet on that major project later, you can differentiate yourself, hopefully, from others in your industry, because you'll be able to say that day, I'm the person who already reached out to you. I'm the one who sent that email. I'm the one who forwarded the capability statement. So as a larger picture, yes, understanding the program, if a bid ever hits the street with a goal, it's your responsibility to start trying to identify those primes and reaching out. Yes, by knowing the program, you actually do know, and you heard today, when the bids come back in, they must have already identified folks like you that they're going to use to meet the goal. And in case they didn't do that, or if they fell short, the ordinance allows us 3 more days to work with them to do that. So definitely be aggressive. You have to decide on your own, based on your own charisma, how to encourage them to select you versus the others. Because as a program, we just establish a goal. We don't tell them which small business to use. We don't tell them which industry to use. We don't tell them how many to use. We just make sure that the prime knows, if your goal is 25% of 30, when it's all said and done, 25% or 30% of what you're paid must go to CBEs. So definitely decide, in using our shop, what are some of the strategies you can put together? And that is one example. Tonight's newsletter at about 6:15 is going to have a section called Hot Tips. And it's a legitimate section. We don't act like we're purchasing, we're not. We give that disclaimer. All the official communication relevant to any bid will be a part of Periscope. But what we do share is that I just reviewed some projects dealing with MAP, the Mobility Advancement Program, from some of our cities or county. This is the project we just reviewed. This is the scope of the project that will eventually come out. This is the dollar value for that potential project, and this is a goal that's currently recommended. If someone read that tonight, they begin to do their homework. Yes, the devil in the details and official communication is down the road in the bid, but if I'm sharing information today based on what we have legitimately done, that's a beginning start for a small business to start doing their homework. So in that regard, you're perfectly fine in creating your own business model where you want to do outreach to these primes as soon as you can, or making sure you know through our office of a project you hear about to get understandings of exactly what the goal may be or what the recommendation is. Again, when the bid hits the street, as you heard earlier, that's then cone to silence. And there's only certain people you can speak to, including one person in my office. But just the overall part of your question, and we do this when we do that one workshop certified, now what? It is upon the CBE, the small business, to create a strategy of understanding how they get information as soon as possible and how they approach these primes and how they tie themselves into those opportunities, especially if even down the road, we're going to have a meet and greet where you get to meet them. I still tell my CBEs, if you wait for the meet and greet, you're late. You want to try to get in front of them early as possible.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. I'm going to go ahead and put you on mute. All right, Cindy, that is most of the questions. We've had a couple questions about subscribing to the BA. I had that up there 2 seconds ago. There we go. If y'all just put your camera up to that little QR code, that will give you the link to be able to sign up. But also you can just send us an email, econdevinfo@broward.org, which I will put into the chat. But this is the best way to do it. Scan that code and you can get, you'll get a direct link to signing up for our Business Assistance Weekly. And just going through here, Sandy mentioned the Youre Certified Now What? We do have a recording of it on our YouTube channel, as well as what I did want to point out is the first 2 of this series are also up on YouTube. The questions that some of you had about how to research solicitation stuff in part 2 covers that in great depth. There's some really excellent in-depth information about how to search BidSync, how to go through and figure out how to set up your own profile, as well as how to search previous bids that are out there. And a reminder that the final session of this bid series is been confirmed. It will be on February 22nd, 2023. And in that, purchasing is going to actually walk us through submitting a bid. So meaning we've gone over all the various components of setting up your profile, researching bids. Now you're ready to do it. How do you actually submit a bid? And they're going to walk us through that on that. So I encourage all of you to be there on the 22nd, and you will see in our newsletter reminders and registrations for that coming up soon. So it is survey time. Sandy, is there anything you want to add in sort of closing as we let the survey run?
Yeah, so gang, let's definitely do the survey. We definitely need to hear from you. We need to know how good we're doing, what else you want to talk about, and what else you're looking for. I'll also use this time to thank our purchasing partners, though we got one more in this series. I think we're going to all take a breath and we're going to try to find a way to do this all again, starting this summer. But for all of our audience, you don't want to miss the 4th session. And again, I'm going to be expecting over 150 to 200 firms on this call when we get to the fourth session about submitting bids. See, that's one of the things that does kill us as certified small businesses, by not submitting your information timely, not submitting it accurately, not submitting it in the fashion that's requested, not understanding responsiveness versus responsibility in terms of what you're submitting. So that fourth session is going to be key. But as a small business, if you're certified with us, this is the beginning of the year. There's so many activities that are going to be taking place via the user agencies, aviation, port, transportation, highway, finance, our FAST division, our parks and rec, our libraries. Remember, if the county buys it, the program, that Business Opportunity Act, if the county buys it, says we have a chance to take a look to see if we have businesses that can do it or provide some of the services to make it happen. Therefore, we're allowed to set goals. So as we go through this year, if you've never won a county contract, if you've won a county contract, if you've never bid on a county contract, if you've never been a sub or been a prime, we want you to engage this process. And as you engage this process, if you're having challenges, we need you to let us know as a part of the process. You can't let me know most of your specifics during a bid. But prior to a bid, post a bid, or even before you bid and you're just trying to decide how you go after your first one, that's why this office is here to administer a small business program that doesn't just get small businesses certified. We try to make sure we get them certified and prepare them through a process and introduce them to the right people so that they can take all that information and be successful in the bid. Our program is for naught if small businesses aren't winning money, winning contracts, not participating as subs as well as primes. That is our goal and mission. It's intentional. We're not apologetic about saying it. We are, on behalf of the county, trying to get businesses, specifically small businesses, paid. But there's things we know you must know and must do, and that's why we try to do these workshops. So again, our calendar, I know Ms. Danberg has it out there now, our calendar will be at a official viewing by this time next week, where you can see events and activities that's not just happening in March and April, but some that'll be happening in June, September, and November towards the end of this year. We want you to know in advance what's going on and what we're doing so that you can follow. We understand you're busy. I'm in agreement. You need to be out here making money, so you can't be on all these workshops with us, but we do need you to make sure, as we say in our entrepreneurial course, it's one thing to work in your business. It's another thing to work on your business. And in order to grow into scale, at some point, business owners have to work on just as much as they work in. So that'll be it for me, Pam, unless purchasing has some parting words.
I want to thank LaShawn. LaShawn, is there anything you wanted to add?
No, I just want to thank everyone for their time today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to purchasing as well as OESBD.
All right, we thank you all. You have a great day. With that, we're going to close out the poll and we will talk to you all soon. Thank you.